Hey again. um, Welcome to chapter 4. It's official. I'm out of chapter 3, the new cycle. And I know it's chapter 4 only because when I was writing down my journal today about what I've been experiencing, I just automatically I kept writing chapter 4 and I'm like, wait, thought I was still on chapter 3. That happened twice. So I was just like, okay, I think I'm calling it is chapter 4. And so this morning on my drive to work, and even beforehand, I started seeing the synchronicities, right? And the difference this time, for those of you that don't know, I am working remotely, but I'm going into the office 2 days out of the week just for a sense of balance and just trying to, as a way to just help myself move forward. And so the last time I drove to work, I was seeing a lot of the unbalanced signs. So when I refer to balance, the synchronicity was this pattern of 3 numbers, and the first and the last number were the exact same number. So it just visually, it provided a sense of balance. And the imbalance was where the last 2 numbers were the same and the first number wasn't. And I was trying to figure out the meaning, and they came up at different times. So the last time it was literally all imbalanced the whole way to work. And that's when I made the decision that at some point soon meaning I don't know when, but I do anticipate that it's going to be soon, like within the less than a year for sure. There's I forgot what I was saying. So I made the decision that I was going to leave work, and then the synchronicity started incorporating letters most recently also, so it's not just numbers anymore. But lately, when they pop up, there's not a real clear sense of if it really is leaning towards like an imbalanced either state of mind or just what I'm about to do, or if it's a more balanced, like it's just coming up more randomly. And I don't know if it's purposefully being presented that way. So I have been asking God, like, what does it mean? Asking the universe, like, just show me a sign, right? Show me a sign about the science. I'm confused. And so I recently read, I'm reading, right, this book, and Miss Pema, I'm not going to try to spell her or pronounce her last name. I think from here on out I'm going to call her Miss Pema. And even I thought, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Why should it be like Pema or something? I'm sorry, Miss Pema, if you're watching. But so Miss Pema was talking about labels. So she goes on to explain that with the labels, and I think I might have mentioned the labels in the last video, but specifically with regards to how we do life, she was talking about how sometimes labels separate us, and the meaning that we give the labels takes us away from the specific object, depending on what it is that we're labeling or what it is that we're depending on the object. And so, for example, she gave the example of a tree, right? I can show up a picture of a tree, or you can, I can say, think of a tree. You can probably think of a picture of a tree, but that's just the label, and it takes away sometimes of what truly is at the heart of that object. And so when we think about a tree, if we take a moment to just really think about a tree and everything about this tree, everything about this object that makes it amazing. It's really mind-blowing, you know, if we're thinking about the roots of it. And even how it starts off as a little, I think they're called saplings, and how grand they grow, really. You know, and the roots kind of going into the ground, and this whole concept of defying gravity, right? With how it takes in the nutrients and it pushes up, right? It makes this, it defies gravity in that sense, and it just it sprouts into this huge and amazing thing, and it extends, and the sky is limitless, and so it could potentially extend forever, right? I mean, think of the sequoia trees. I mean, it's just, if you've ever been to Sequoia National Park or Kings Canyon, I mean, and you're standing next to these amazing living things, it's just, you know, it's just mind-blowing. And so even the concept of the growth of it, it's just so slow, and we forget how important that process of growth is. We forget how each step, each piece, each element is so important in the overall maturity of this tree, right? This living thing. And so just taking a moment to think about that is just, right? That's the object, the tree, versus just the label of a tree. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I mean, for me, it was more of a moment, because it's, you know, these constructs that we create for ourselves sometimes, and we're just so operating on this go, 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 go mentality that we forget to slow down and stop and look and think and just become more aware of what's around us. And so, you know, the thought of the tree also reminded me of the healing of the root chakra that Christina Lopes talks about, and I've added that link in the description box. And how she talks about the importance of healing the root chakra in order to be able to access our higher self. And so it just, again, it reminded me of this tree. And so going back to this whole concept of separation and how labels can potentially separate us, Miss Pema also talks about how it can unite us at the same time, right? And so she gave another example of ice cream, me eating ice cream. Fun UB fact. I don't eat ice cream. I'm allergic, I think, to dairy. I don't want to say lactose. I think it's more an allergy, because anytime I eat anything with dairy, I get creatures on my face. But anyways, let's assume I ate ice cream. So you have this object, ice cream, and then you have this other object, me. Both separate objects. But when they unite, if I taste the ice cream, it now becomes taste. This concept of tasting. And there's unity in that, right? The ice cream alone can't taste. Me not doing anything, double negative, not doing anything is not me tasting. I have to put something in my mouth in order to taste. So it's a concept of unity. And it reminds me also, just in mental health, this whole attachment theory and object relations theory. And I've added a few links below too, just to explain that a little bit more in terms of just how that affects our relationships in later life. But anyways, I was driving this morning and I put my Bluetooth on, and I think I had mentioned that I'm not really listening to a lot of like music with lyrics. It's more just the melodies, either that or meditation music, just because it's soothing to me, and I don't get mixed up with all the words coming in and too much to process early in the morning. So I'm opting for something a lot smoother. But I was having a hard time connecting my phone's Bluetooth to the car, and the sound was going through, the melody was going through just fine, but sometimes I really like the melody and I want to know what the title is, what the label is, right? So that I can look for it next time. And it wouldn't let me, like it just wouldn't let me. And so finally I remembered Miss Pema and I said, okay, I asked myself, what's my purpose of wanting to look at the label? And then when I finally got to the point of, okay, I'm gonna relinquish control, it's clear that that's not something I'm supposed to focus on. And then I said, okay, no labels this morning. Just be present with the melody. And then I look at the clock and then there's the balance sign. So I was like, okay, I'm on the right track. But anyways, with Miss Pema, I remember she said, I think it was her, about this whole living in the past, present, and future all at once, and just being present in the moment. So I told myself, okay, I'm just gonna be present during the drive to work, which is about a good 40-minute drive. So I'm fortunate enough to where my drive to work is very, there's a lot of scenery. So I live right near the foothills, the mountains, and so I have to drive through El Cajon Pass to get to my destination. So I go up into the high desert, Apple Valley area. So the drive is I love the drive. I love nature and I love the beauty of it. And so I was just really being present in what I was observing from home to work. So I was looking at the street before I got on the freeway, and really taking time to acknowledge how beautiful of a street it was. You know, the trimming of the bushes and the trees along the sidewalks, the smooth concrete, you know, no holes, the electricity poles, and just really acknowledging and appreciating the past and the present all at once, because I had to really think about how in the world did we get electricity, right? Like, someone had a moment of creativity, someone that had a moment of consistency, persistence to keep going until they discovered electricity. Somebody had to take the time to trim and sculpt the bushes along the, you know, the sidewalk. You know, the city workers took their time to make this road very smooth and beautiful, so that I'm not like, you know, trying to get to the freeway. So just really taking the time and recognizing and acknowledging and being grateful for this, the grateful for the individuals who were instrumental in the creation of these things around me, right? The creation of concrete, the creation of electricity, you know, and just kind of being wowed at the fact that without those moments of creativity, we wouldn't have these things around us. And so, again, just an opportunity to be grateful. And then I had hope. There was hope that came in about my own potential of creation, and whether it's through this YouTube channel or whether it's other things that I do in life. And you know, for me, a lot of it is really, what's driven is really, one, it was very therapeutic what I was going through and what I'm still going through. Two, I think just to provide a sense of community and unity with this experience, trying to promote the sense of being a lifelong learner despite these things that are occurring to me, and inviting you along, and just kind of hoping that, you know, it finds its way to you when you need it, right? And yeah, that there's unity in that, in this moment, in this world of polarities and separation. So at least that was the intention that I set when I started posting these videos. But anyway, so I was listening to the melody and really taking time to observe El Cajon Pass. And, you know, I looked around and just kind of seeing the growth of the, just the abundance around compared to a few years ago when we had those fires. And I mean, I kid you not, I remember driving up through the El Cajon Pass and crying when everything was black and charcoal. Like it hurt my heart so much to, think of just the wildlife, and the people who were removed from their homes. So I was really grateful for that. But at the same time with the melody, I started thinking about, again, the fact that I didn't know the name of the melody, and then I started thinking about songs and why I'm staying away from them, right? Because of the lyrics, and how sometimes the lyrics really kind of mess with your head and your energy. At least it wasn't always like that, to be honest with you. I mean, it wasn't like that before, and I'm noticing that. I don't know if it's just the increased sensitivity. It really affects me a lot more now. And so I'm limiting those extra voices in my head, or the external voices, to not mess with my head. So I was thinking about the lyrics and the melody, and even thinking to myself, well, because it was a melody that I was familiar with, and I remembered the song, and the song, it just wasn't sitting well with me. But then the melody was really beautiful. So then I thought, well, if I were to listen to the songs that I don't like without the lyrics, there's beauty in the melody, and it's just the words that are uncomfortable to hear. So then I thought, wow, like I'd never really paid attention to the fact that the lyrics and the melody put together have such an impact, right? Or can have an impact. And then if you're separating them, they create a different type of impact. And so again, this concept of separate objects in unity, and how it impacts how we do life. So I was thinking about this all the way to work, as well as the synchronicities, because they kept showing up in a balanced way, where there wasn't really anything tied to it. It was just, there it is. There's the imbalance one, there's the balance one. And it wasn't where one was over dominating the other. It really truly was this nice flow of presenting itself to me. Still trying to figure out why it's presenting itself that way. And I'm exiting the freeway, and the car in front of me has both of them within its license plate. So it was, and I tried to remember what it was, and I wrote down J6J, right? So that's the balance one, J6J, and then 744. So balanced, imbalanced in one. And that's when the light bulb hit. I was just like, we need to have both. We need to have both in order to have that equal balance. How am I going to know what balance feels like if I don't experience the imbalance, and vice versa, right? I won't know what imbalance is without experiencing balance. And I was just like, another moment of how important both sides are, and creating a sense of balance with that. So it just was mind-blowing, and it's just amazing what we think about, right? What we allow ourselves, when we make the time to really become more aware, become more purposeful, become more intentional with our thoughts and with our actions, and with our words. And I honestly felt this greater sense of appreciation for everything around me, seeing things more beautiful than they were before, just more beautiful, more wondrous, more magical even. And I couldn't help but smile. Because I was just so grateful for that realization, and realizing that this moment in time, this moment was my life, and that this moment everything was well, and this sense of joy and relief in that one moment, right? I mean, I've talked about what one moment can do for your life, and this one moment really opened my eyes and my heart to taking in the beauty and appreciating it, and even sending out, right, that appreciation, that gratefulness for the things around me, that it actually allowed room in my heart for hope, for love to come in, for adventure, for the acceptance of the unknown without any fear involved. And then when I had that realization, the Moana melody came on. The How Far Will I Go? So of course I sang my little heart out the rest of the way to work. And I just smiled. I couldn't help but smile. So yeah, just, you know, realizing what this next chapter is representing, the traveler in me, right? The traveler who is going to take more risks, who is going to trust the process, who is going to become an architect of something, of many things, I hope, and I know, as long as my heart and my mind are aligned, right, I can move mountains. So that was my drive home this morning. A very magical moment that I'm very grateful for. So I hope you make the time for magical moments, and really appreciate what that means for you, whatever it may look like.